The conference room fell dead silent. My brother's fiancée stared at me across the mahogany table, her face pale as she whispered, "Wait, you're Jessica Chin. You're the founder of Mindful Solutions?" My family's laughter from 30 minutes earlier still rang in my ears. "Jessica is just playing pretend with her little startup again," my mother had said. "When will she get a real job like David?" But now, as I sat in that boardroom, about to sign a $12 million acquisition deal, I realized my family was about to learn the truth about their failure of a daughter. Hi, I'm Jessica, and I'm 28 years old. For the past 6 years, my family has seen me as the disappointment. While my older brother David climbed the corporate ladder at a prestigious law firm, I was wasting my time with what they called my hobby business. I grew up in a traditional Asian American household where success meant one thing: a stable job with a recognizable title. Doctor, lawyer, engineer, these were careers. Everything else was just not serious. My parents immigrated from Taiwan in the 80s with nothing but dreams and determination. They built a comfortable middle-class life through sacrifice and hard work. My father became an accountant, my mother a nurse. They understood struggle, but they also understood security. David, my brother, was their golden child. Graduated summa cum laude from Harvard Law, landed a job at a top firm, and was now a partner at 32. He was engaged to Sarah, a successful marketing executive who came from old money. Perfect, right? Then there was me. The daughter who dropped out of her MBA program to start something called Mindful Solutions, a mental health and wellness platform. To them, it sounded like I was playing with crystals and charging people for meditation apps. The criticism started small. "Jessica, when are you going to get serious about your career?" became a weekly question at family dinners. It escalated over the years. Last Christmas, my aunt asked what I did for work. Before I could answer, my mother jumped in, "Oh, Jessica has her little computer thing. We're still waiting for her to find a real job." The room erupted in understanding nods and sympathetic looks. I felt like I was 12 years old again, being lectured about my grades. David always stayed quiet during these moments. Never defended me, but never joined the attacks either. I told myself he was just being diplomatic, keeping the peace. But it hurt. God, it hurt. The thing is, I wasn't failing. Mindful Solutions had been growing steadily for 3 years. We started as a simple app for guided meditation and anxiety management. But we'd evolved into something bigger, a comprehensive platform that connected users with licensed therapists, offered AI-powered mood tracking, and provided personalized wellness plans. We had 40,000 active users, partnerships with 3 major healthcare systems, and were generating consistent revenue. But I kept quiet about our success. Part of me was waiting for the right moment to prove them wrong. Part of me was just tired of defending myself. The breaking point came at David and Sarah's engagement party 2 months ago. I just closed our series of funding round, $2.5 million from a respected venture capital firm. I was exhausted but excited. This was validation that what we were building mattered. I decided to share the news with my family that night. "Mom, Dad, I have some exciting news about the company," I started during dinner. My father barely looked up from his plate. "Jessica, can we have one family gathering without talking about your project?" "But this is important." "What's important," my mother interrupted, "is that you're almost 30 and still don't have a stable income. Sarah's been telling us about the opportunities at her marketing firm. Maybe it's time to consider." "I don't need a job at Sarah's firm," I said, my voice rising. "My company just raised $2.5 million. The table went quiet. Then David laughed, actually laughed. "Jess, come on. $2.5 million. That's not how business works. You can't just make up numbers." Even Sarah, usually diplomatic, shook her head sympathetically. Jessica, I know entrepreneur life is exciting, but maybe David's right. You should consider more traditional paths. The humiliation burned in my chest. They thought I was lying. My own family thought I was delusional. I excused myself early that night and cried in my car for 20 minutes. What my family didn't know was that their delusional daughter was actually building something remarkable. After that engagement party, I threw myself into work harder than ever. Not to prove them wrong, though that was part of it, but because I genuinely believed in what we were creating. Mental health had always been personal to me. In college, I struggled with anxiety and depression. Traditional therapy helped, but it was expensive and hard to access. I spent hours researching meditation, mindfulness techniques, and self-help strategies. The idea for mindful solutions came during my darkest period. What if we could make mental health support more accessible? What if technology could bridge the gap between professional help and daily self-care? I spent 2 years developing the initial concept while finishing my undergraduate degree. The first version was basic, guided meditations, mood tracking, and some educational content about anxiety management. But users loved it. Our App Store ratings were consistently above 4.8 stars. People were sending emails telling us how the app had helped them through panic attacks, insomnia, relationship stress. We reinvested every dollar back into the platform. Hired licensed therapists to create content. Developed AI algorithms that could identify concerning patterns in user behavior and recommend appropriate resources. Built partnerships with universities to research the effectiveness of digital mental health interventions. By year 3, we weren't just an app anymore. We were a comprehensive mental health ecosystem. Major healthcare companies started reaching out. We signed partnerships with 2 hospital systems to provide digital mental health support for their patients. A pharmaceutical company wanted to license our mood tracking technology for clinical trials. And then came the acquisition offers. The first one was $8 million from a healthcare conglomerate. I turned it down, too early, and they wanted to change our mission. The second was $10 million from a tech giant who saw us as a nice addition to their wellness portfolio. Also turned down. The third offer came last month, $12 million from Harmony Health, a company that aligned perfectly with our values and wanted to scale our impact globally. $12 million. For my little computer thing. I decided to accept Harmony's offer, but I wanted to be strategic about it. The acquisition process would take about 6 weeks, with the final signing scheduled for mid-November. David and Sarah had announced they were moving their wedding up to early December, a small, intimate ceremony followed by a larger celebration in the spring. The timing was perfect. I could sign the deal, then share the news with my family at the wedding. Poetic justice, right? But life had other plans. 2 weeks before the signing, Sarah called me unexpectedly. "Jessica, I hope this isn't weird, but I need a favor," she said. "You know I work in marketing, and one of our biggest clients is Harmony Health. They're acquiring some mental health startup, and they want us to revamp their entire brand strategy." My heart stopped. "The thing is," she continued, "I know you're into the whole wellness space. Would you mind looking at some materials and giving me your thoughts? You might have insights about their target audience." She emailed me a folder of documents. Harmony's acquisition briefing. Market analysis. And right there, on page 12, was a detailed breakdown of Mindful Solutions' user demographics, revenue streams, and growth projections. My company. My life's work. Reduced to bullet points and pie charts. But Sarah didn't know. She had no idea she was asking the founder of the company to review her marketing strategy for acquiring her own business. The irony was almost funny. Almost. 3 days before the signing, my parents insisted on a family dinner to discuss wedding preparations. "Sarah has some exciting work news to share," my mother said when she called. I should have made an excuse. Should have stayed home. But some masochistic part of me was curious to see how this played out. We gathered at my parents' house, the same dining room where I'd been dismissed countless times. Sarah was glowing with excitement. I can't give too many details because of confidentiality, she began, but I landed the biggest client of my career. Harmony Health is acquiring this mental health startup for $12 million, and they want our firm to handle the entire rebrand. My father whistled. $12 million. For a startup. I know, right? These tech entrepreneurs are making crazy money. The founder is probably some 20-something kid who got lucky. David laughed. Probably some Silicon Valley bro who convinced investors that meditation apps are the future. Actually, Sarah corrected, the founder is a woman. Jessica Chin. She's actually around our age, which makes it even more impressive. The room fell silent. 3 pairs of eyes turned to me. That's a common name, my mother said slowly. Sarah pulled out her phone. I have her photo from the company website. She's actually wait. She stared at her screen, then at me, then back at her screen. The color drained from her face. Oh my God. Oh my God. You're Jessica Chin, Sarah whispered. You're the founder of Mindful Solutions. The silence that followed was deafening. I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen, the tick of the grandfather clock in the hallway. David broke first. That's impossible. Jess, tell her that's impossible. But I couldn't speak. 6 years of dismissal, criticism, and condescension had led to this moment. I felt like I was watching it happen to someone else. My father found his voice. Jessica. Is this true? I nodded slowly. The $12 million? My mother asked. Another nod. The partnerships with hospitals? The 40,000 users? The venture capital funding? All true, I finally managed to say. Sarah was scrolling through her phone frantically, reading aloud from our company website. Founded in 2019 by Jessica Chin following her personal experience with anxiety and depression. The platform has helped over 40,000 users manage their mental health through evidence-based interventions and AI-powered personalization. She looked up at me with a mixture of awe and horror. I've been working on a marketing strategy to sell your own company back to you. The absurdity of it broke something loose in my chest, and I started laughing. Hysterical, borderline manic laughter that made everyone uncomfortable. This isn't funny, Jessica, David said sternly. Why didn't you tell us? That sobered me up quickly. Tell you what, David. That I was successful. I tried. Multiple times. But every time I mentioned the company, you all treated me like I was playing dress-up in the adult world. We didn't know, my mother started. You didn't want to know, I interrupted. It was easier to believe I was failing than to admit you might have been wrong about what success looks like. The argument that followed was 6 years in the making. My parents were defensive, claiming they were just trying to protect me from disappointment. David was hurt that I hadn't trusted him with the truth. Sarah was mortified about the marketing situation. But I was done protecting everyone else's feelings. Do you know what it's like, I asked, to build something you're proud of, something that actually helps people, and have your own family treat it like a joke? We just wanted what was best for you, my father said. What you wanted was for me to fit into your definition of success. Well, congratulations. I exceeded it. I built a multi-million-dollar company that's improving lives and getting acquired by a Fortune 500 healthcare company. Is that successful enough for you? The room was silent again. Finally, David spoke up. I'm sorry, Jess. I'm really sorry. I should have listened to you better. My mother was crying. We're proud of you. We've always been proud of you. We worried. I know you worried, I said, my anger deflating into exhaustion. But your worry felt like disappointment. And your disappointment felt like failure. The acquisition went through the following week. $12 million, just like Sarah had said. My family attended the signing ceremony. It was surreal seeing them in that conference room, watching me shake hands with Harmony CEO, seeing their faces as the reality of what I'd built finally sank in. But the money wasn't the resolution I'd been looking for. The validation I'd craved for 6 years felt hollow when it finally came. What mattered more were the conversations that followed. Long, difficult talks with my parents about their expectations and my choices. Honest discussions with David about sibling dynamics and family pressure. Sarah and I actually became closer through the whole experience. She helped me navigate the post-acquisition transition with Harmony, and I provided insights for other mental health companies in her portfolio. Turns out, we made a good team. The wedding was beautiful, by the way. Small and intimate, just like they'd planned. During his speech, David publicly apologized to me and talked about how proud he was of what I'd accomplished. It was the first time he'd ever acknowledged my success in front of the whole family. So here I am, 6 months later, reflecting on everything that happened. The acquisition money is nice, but the real victory was finally being seen by my family. I learned that sometimes people dismiss what they don't understand, not because they don't care, but because they're afraid. My parents' criticism came from love, even if it didn't feel that way. I also learned that waiting for external validation is exhausting. I should have been proud of what I was building regardless of what anyone else thought. These days, I'm working with Harmony to scale mindful solutions globally. We're launching in 12 new countries next year and developing specialized programs for veterans, healthcare workers, and college students. My family asks about work now, actually asks, with genuine interest. My mother even downloaded the app and uses our sleep meditation feature every night. But I think the most important lesson is this: success isn't just about proving people wrong. It's about staying true to what matters to you, even when the people you love most can't see it yet. Sometimes the greatest validation comes not from being right, but from being patient enough to let others catch up to your vision. What would you do if your family constantly dismissed your dreams? Have you ever had to choose between family expectations and personal fulfillment? Let me know in the comments below.